Hi guys, this is Zuki coming to you from Austin, Texas on a beautiful Thursday morning. It's sunny and 35 degrees right now. I'm here with CT, this 6'5" towering figure. He considers himself a modern day nomad, a world traveler, and enjoys hosting travelers from all over the world. I am one of them right now, visiting from San Francisco. He has hosted travelers from all over the world, counting at around 150 right now. Yep. And you can go visit his profile right here on Couchsurfing. And let's get on this interview.
So, as you said, my name is CT. Currently I'm living in Austin, but I do consider myself a modern day nomad. I've moved 21 times in the last 13 years. And it's not because of disinterest or anything like that. I just want to experience the world. And what I've found is through Couchsurfing, I'm able to bring guests in from all around the world, hear stories and share stories. And it's something I'm very passionate about. Like I said, I've hosted over 150 people from 45 countries. And it's just every day it's a new, unique experience. And I love that. It's a question that comes up a lot. People, when you explain to them that you do Couchsurfing, they're very confused. And so what I'll say is Couchsurfing is a forum where you can share cultural experiences, a forum where you can meet and bring people into your life, bring people into your culture and share what's important to you. Some people that may be art, some people that may be food or travel, or some people just want to stay at home and cook for you, share music. I've had all of these, and that's what I love about it. Each guest is a unique experience. There's no cookie cutter answer that's going to solve everybody. So with each time, it's a little challenge for me to say, okay, this person loves music. I want to take her to see as much live music in Austin as possible. Or this person wants to see all the best gastronomical places in Austin. So each time, it's a different trip, and that's what I love about it. Now this is kind of the, if you look at it, the yin and the yang of Couchsurfing. Everyone that asks about what it is and why you do it, they also have their preconceived notions that they bring. And so I want to clear that up. Couchsurfing is not a hotel service. It's not a hostel. It's not Tinder. It's not meetup.com. Sure, some of the services kind of overlap, but Couchsurfing is not a way to pick up chicks. It's not a way to make money. It's not a way to sell your own products. It's not a way to do any of this. It's supposed to be a free space to share information and have fun and share experiences. So back in 2014, I was living in Memphis, working at a brewery. And my friend Ari was hosting these two girls from England. And I love hosting. I was a tour guide at my brewery, and I love sharing the things I'm passionate about with travelers. So I joined Couchsurfing. I never hosted anybody just because not a lot of people use Couchsurfing in Memphis. But when I moved to LA, I was feeling very lonely and I wasn't able to travel just because of my job. And so I figured Couchsurfing would be a good way to bring travelers to me so I can share stories with them. So I started hosting. I hosted two French girls, never met them, no reviews before me. And I decided, what the heck, why not? So brought it to my friends, thought about it, prayed about it, and all of a sudden, within a day, I had these two French girls staying with me. And it was awesome because it gave me a reason to explore Los Angeles. Honestly, it's this feeling I have inside of me where I know people are coming to town. I know people are trying to save money. That's not what it's about, but it is part of why people do Couchsurfing. But also it's, call it cockiness or selfishness or something else. I know I am good at showing people my city. I know when people go around with me to when I lived in Los Angeles and now in Austin, they're gonna have a good time because I'm gonna spend hours figuring out where to take them and what restaurants they might want. Are you vegan? Are you vegetarian? And I love doing it because it helps me understand the city I'm living in better. So instead of just staying at home and going to the same 5 restaurants, I'm able to challenge myself to experience where I'm living, to actually live. And if that means that I get to take some couch surfers around and they benefit from it, then it's good for everybody. I think this world needs a little good karma. You know, we're all so focused on ourselves. Why not give back? I have the ability. I have a 2-bedroom apartment. So why not let people stay there? It's an empty room. So when I lived in LA, I was getting an average of between 7 and 12 requests to stay with me every day. They could be as late as 10 p.m., 11 p.m. for that night, and they could be as planned out as 4 months ahead. Every time I hosted, I created a new rule or added to my rules or changed what I looked for because, you know, it's all a dynamic process. But ultimately, when I get your request, the first thing I look at is authenticity. If you've copied and pasted the message, that's great for some people, but for me, I'm all about that experience, and I want to experience you the same way you want to experience Austin. So first thing I look for is it a real message? Did they actually take time to read my profile about my house and about my city, or are they just sending out a message to 14, 15 people trying to get a free place to stay? So once I've gotten that and I determined, okay, it seems authentic, then I look at the person. I'm one of the few hosts that loves to host travelers who have no references. This means they've never been hosted. There's no way to verify that they're real, but I love that. I'm a big guy. I'm pretty secure of myself. And I feel like I'm able to take these new surfers and actually give them a good experience. So I love when they have zero references. It's like a blank slate with Couchsurfing. I can show them what I think works and why it works. Generally things I avoid. If your message comes across that all you really want is a free hotel room, go get a hotel room. I'm sorry, that's not my job. And it's funny because each time I've had these type of requests, I've updated my profile to say, look, if you're coming to LA for 3 months to look for work, don't stay with me. Stay at a hotel. People have complained that their roommate was too noisy and they couldn't study for finals. My house is noisy. Don't come to my place. So it's a case-by-case basis. There is no formula. I don't say, no, you can't come. The big thing I do is, you know, when I get your request, I'm gonna ask for your social media because I wanna see that you're a real person. I'm gonna try and engage you. I'm gonna try and talk to you on WhatsApp and make sure, you know, you actually want to come and stay with me. So that's what I look for. So by the nature of how I select my people, I feel like I've been very lucky with having some amazing guests. Every now and then you get certain guests who don't quite understand the lifestyle of couchsurfing and what it means to be a guest. I think that's the biggest thing. It's the selfishness and the entitlement that a lot of people can have sometimes, where they come into your house, into your place where you live, and they come with their own expectations. They expect you to carry their bag. They expect you to drive them around the city. Those are the negative memories. I try to block them out, but they're there. The interesting part about my experiences is anytime I've had these less than ideal occasions, they become a rule. Because, you know, if I've accepted you and there was no rule saying you can't do this, if you do that and it bothers me, I can't have any kind of action because it wasn't a rule. But when you leave, that becomes a rule. I have a very sensitive nose, and I had a guest who loved to cook fish curry, and I hate curry with a passion. And so that is not a rule. You're not allowed to cook fish curry in my kitchen. I encourage all my guests to cook, but not curry, and definitely not fish curry. I had some hippie-ish guests who decided not to shower for the 4 days they were in LA in the summer, and instead they went with patchouli oil and natural remedies for their odor, and I had to throw away the sheets. It nearly stained my air mattress and my couch. So now it's a rule. If you stay more than 2 days, you have to shower. But then the side note of that is I had some other guests from Eastern Europe, and they decided that when they showered, they didn't want to use the shower curtain. And this was a 1-bathroom apartment I was sharing with 3 other people while they couch surfed. And I'd get into my bathroom and it felt like the rainforest was in there. The rugs were soaked, the mirrors were wet, the walls were wet. And I asked them, I was like, hey, I have a shower curtain, you know? And he looked at me and literally just replied, yeah, we don't like using them. So that's not a rule. You have to take a shower if you stay more than 2 days, and you have to use the shower curtain. It's not radical thoughts here. It's just what you think would be common sense, but apparently it's not. Another big one, my apartment is a smart apartment. I have all LED smart light bulbs and Sonos speakers and Alexas and everything else. And one of my guests apparently hates technology. So every time I come home, she had unplugged everything. So I'd have to replug them in, recalibrate my sound. And I asked her that night, I was like, hey, did you unplug my speaker? And she, yeah. I was like, okay, please don't do that. Okay. Next day I get home, everything's unplugged again. And I was like, what is going on? And she was like, I didn't want it plugged in. And it just blows my mind because I'm like, this is my house. Like, I don't care if you don't want them plugged in, at least have a conversation. And I think that's what makes a bad guest, is when you don't talk about it. Just if you're worried about something, if you're scared about something, if my apartment's too cold, bring it up. Let's talk about it. But it's my apartment. So unless you bring it up, I'm not gonna change how I live with some assumption. Like, let's have a conversation. If you ask any of my friends, they'll be very quick to tell you that I'm a hopeless romantic. I grew up in Wisconsin. We use the phrase, I love love. Because that's the way it is. We love the thought of love. We want to see love. And there's no exception when it comes to couchsurfing. Yeah, I've had many guests where there's something real there and you feel it. Because honestly, let's think about it. I know earlier I said couchsurfing is not Tinder, and that is very true. But when you're having real experiences with someone and you match well and you're going, it's great emotional connection, like emotions happen. And I don't know how else to say it except life happens. And there have been several occasions where, you know, someone will stay with me for 10, 12 days or 6 days. And during that time, we spend every single moment together. We do breakfast, we have lunch, we do dinner. We're going around the city, we're going to music, hear music. We're going to see plays, whatever it is. These are all things that you would do with your girlfriend or boyfriend are significant. And the difference is we just met the day before. So have I ever fallen in love with my guests? Yeah. As far as containing those emotions and understanding them, earlier I said I'm a nomad. With that lifestyle comes the understanding that I'm gonna have to be able to cut things off and regain them later, drop of a hat, because I may move next week. I may move in 3 months. All my relationships have to be able to be self-contained while they're there. Would I love to go down to Argentina and re-see my guest and take her out and explore that option? Yeah, I really would. Ultimately though, all of these experiences allow me to shape what I really am looking for in my future partner if I end up having one. They've taught me what I want and what I don't want and how to compromise. And you can't get that from a dating app. You can't get that from just meeting someone out. These are life experiences. You know, we've shared a bathroom, we've shared a kitchen. And I don't know, I have a phrase that I live by. And if we take one of these trees and we were to dig it out of the ground and plant it in our front yard, the tree doesn't ask, how long am I gonna be here? The tree just grows its roots. And that's the way I live life. Like, I move, or someone comes into my life and they're planted there. And while they're there, they grow and we flourish and we have an amazing time. Then when they leave, it's sad, but ultimately you've got to be happy that you had the experience at all. This is a topic that up until last year in May, it was hard for me to answer. So last year in May, I decided to fly up to Seattle and actually be a surfer instead of just a host. So I picked my host that I wanted, sent her a message, explained to her exactly why I wanted to come to her town. And she was like, well, when are you coming? And I simply answered, like, when do you want me to come? And so we talked about the dates, but really what adds value and why I think couchsurfing is beautiful, it's not necessarily what you bring. Sure, bringing a gift is cool. My guests from Austria brought me a beer glass from Europe. That's really cool. I've had some South Americans bring me beer from South America. Love it. But I don't care about stuff. It's not about what you bring me. It's not about what you give me. It's about the attitude. It's about the exchange of information and experiences. I think if a surfer can show up and spend time, real time with you, then that's worth it. Because at the end of the day, now we have a connection. At the end of the day, now we follow each other on Instagram. I'm seeing their stories. They're seeing my stories. Honestly, one of the biggest joys I have is when two different couchsurfing groups stay with me at the same time or they overlap. And a year down the road, I see that they still follow each other on Instagram or they comment on each other's posts. Because I'm looking at it like, that never would have happened if they hadn't met in my house. And we had an authentic experience in Los Angeles or in Austin. And I think that's cool. So honestly, I don't think it's just about hosting. If you have a place, yes, host, that's awesome. Trust people. I think the biggest issue we have with couchsurfing is the ability to trust, is the ability to believe that someone is real on the other side of the computer. And so I think it starts in here. You have to look at yourself and say, am I willing to open my house up to strangers? And if it's a no, then look at it and say, why? You've never done it, you're scared of it. Okay, let's start off slow. Join Couchsurfing, create a profile, and start going to some of the weekly meetups. Almost every city has a weekly meetup. In Austin, we meet at Whitehorse on Thursdays. I've only been once or twice with my guests, but start there, meet people, understand the spirit of travel that way. From there, you can start to see other events that are happening, and that's when you can start signing up to join those, to be involved. Let's say you have a guest room, let's say you have a couch, let's say you have an air mattress, and you start to feel more comfortable, then you can open up your place. In addition to that, it's not just about opening your place and letting someone stay. It's about creating an understanding of humanity. The golden rule: do unto others as you would have done unto you. Same kind of thing. If you were traveling, what would you want someone to do for you, or how could they help you? For me, it really came down when I was in Iraq. Just for fun, my friend, I actually decided to just go during the weekend that the Cubs won the World Series. I was feeling some FOMO because one of my friends went to the game, and I wanted to go to Iraq the same weekend that we overtook Mosul. I was like, hey, it's kind of a cool weekend. So I went to Erbil, and this is a city that's millennia old. It's the oldest inhabited city in the world. And there I am. I'm hanging out in the Christian area, and I find a brewery. This German got stuck there, and he has a brewery there in Iraq. And we're hanging out, and it was nighttime, and the maps are all wrong, and out of nowhere this girl comes and offered help. And she actually walked me back all the way to my hotel for no reason other than just to be a good person. You realize that without her, I would have been lost in Iraq. That's terrifying. When I went to Petra, my friend wanted to hike up the side of the hill, so hey, I'm not a big hiker. I'm a big hiker, but I'm not good at it. And so I wanted to stay. I ended up staying with this local family who took me into their cave and brought me tea, and we watched soccer in his cave. He introduced me to his niece and tried to get me to join his family and told me about camel's milk. It was weird, but it was like this life moment where I understood that people really do want to take care of you if you let them. And that is what I've carried with me. It's not about give and take. It's not about what I can give so I can take something free later. It's not that. I've hosted way more people than I've stayed with. And it's just me trying to give back. It's trying to understand that the life and the energy we provide and the love that we give will come back to us at some point. But if not, it's still good to put it out there because it helps balance out the junk that's out there. If you've enjoyed this interview and you want to see more of Zuki and his channel, I'd say like, subscribe. There's a little bell. I think it's on this side. Click the bell. When he posts a video, that way you can follow his adventures. He's over in San Francisco doing great things, but he travels. And why not follow him?
Hope you had a great time watching the video and learning about couchsurfing from CT. Till next time, goodbye.